Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Wanted to do a webinar around investing, but not just investing, investing from a retirement account. And not a lot of people realize that you can actually tap into those retirement funds and invest outside of Wall Street. So I am not the expert at investing from a retirement account. So I thought it would be super helpful to bring on an expert who is. So Joel, thank you for chatting today.
Yeah, I'm excited, Brandon. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to dig into this concept because it's like you said, um, not a whole lot of people are familiar with this. And our mission is ultimately to get out there and share this with as many people as possible, especially those that are already familiar with investing in alternative assets.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that what your company does is just incredible, and so wanted to kind of break this up into two parts for everybody watching. Just the first part is a quick overview of Joel's company and what they do. And then the second part would be some case studies. So, Joel, if you could just give a quick overview of what your company does and maybe some of the retirement accounts that people can tap into to really use those funds to invest elsewhere.
For sure. Appreciate that. Yeah. I think I would start with the name of our company. We get asked a lot, what does EQRP even stand for? It basically represents what we do. We provide an enhanced qualified retirement plan.
Mm,
So that's the meaning of the business, and what it really comes down to is we offer a turnkey, self-directed retirement service.
mhm,
So we kick it off with a self-directed retirement plan, whether that's a self-directed 401k or a self-directed IRA. We
mm,
want to make sure that everybody who is investing with qualified retirement funds has the right type of plan developed. So we're an approved plan provider. We have the wherewithal to structure these plans according to our clients' very specific investment strategy. So we like to say that we have a self-directed plan that fits everybody.
for sure.
Um, and we'll get into a lot of the details, especially with the case studies regarding maybe why one is different over the other. But in essence, we want to make sure that all of our clients, we have about 2,000 clients, become successful self-directed retirement investors. And what I mean is, it's one thing to have the vehicle to invest
Mhm.
qualified retirement funds in alternative assets, but it's another thing to be shown, coached, supported, if you will, so that they can maximize their available qualified funds. We would never want anybody to pull funds into a self-directed plan to invest and not maximize what they have available. So we put a lot of effort into supporting our clients, giving them the community, giving them the education and the resources so that they can deploy their funds and maximize it. So you asked Brandon a little bit about eligible funds, and I think that's such a good question to start with because
Mhm.
people need to know what they can actually move and
Yeah.
like, what does it actually mean qualified funds, right? So I want to highlight some of those, and I like to kick it off with an IRA.
Mm,
Many people are familiar with an IRA, an individual retirement agreement that was established so that individuals can move active income into a retirement plan that they can ultimately invest. But what happens is most of the time, those IRAs are not tied to alternative assets like real estate. You talk a lot about real estate investing. If an individual wants to invest IRA money in real estate, they have to have the right type of IRA.
mm,
99% of the time, people are working out of an IRA that does not allow them to invest in alternative assets. It's typically an IRA that's invested either, let's say, with Fidelity in the capital markets, or maybe it's literally just sitting in a very low interest bearing 2-3% IRA yield with Wells Fargo or Chase Bank. The idea is with those IRAs, those pre-tax traditional IRAs that people are pumping money into every year because either their tax advisor tells them to do that, which is a great strategy, or maybe they worked for an employer 5 years ago and then they were forced to move that 401k. into an IRA, we
Mhm.
like to take those funds, move it into a self-directed plan that we develop, and give them the coaching and the support, and ultimately build them up so they can be fully autonomous,
Definitely.
and they go and invest in, some of your 506B offerings that you talk about. So that's just the IRA. And that's what a lot of people are sitting on right now. They're sitting on IRAs and they don't even realize that that's liquidity. That's opportunity for them to go and invest it in something that's far more advantageous than where it's currently just kind of sitting. Let's highlight some of those company sponsored plans that a lot of people are participating in currently or they have in the past. Those are your 401ks, your 401as, 403bs, 457 plans. A lot of those retirement plans that start with that four, those are eligible funds to move into a self-directed plan.
Mhm.
And I know for myself, when I used to work for Wells Fargo, I had a 401k, and that was my first opportunity, making contributions from my paycheck. Knowing now what I know, uh, I was only able to invest those funds in the stock market, right, in mutual funds, and that's really just one asset class. So
Mm.
when we're interacting with people who are curious about taking those existing funds and diversifying and moving it into some of the other asset classes like real estate, maybe some manufacturing, private equity, crypto, you name it,
Yeah.
we start, deploying some of those funds. Maybe we move a portion of that and pump it into a specific asset that they found with you. Um, so those are those company sponsored plans that a lot of people are familiar with. Today they are actually investing in those. They're contributing to those. But I want to put a little asterisk next to qualified eligible funds, because if an individual is still contributing and is still employed by the company who is facilitating the 401k, it's highly unlikely that those funds are not eligible to roll over. There has to be an event that would trigger an eligible rollover. That's usually when you sever your employment with the employer.
Mhm.
So we interact with a lot of folks that within the last 3 to 6 months, they've left their employer. So it created that eligible event for them to roll over the funds into a self-directed plan. I'll wrap it up with just a couple of other retirement accounts that people aren't aware of that they could roll over.
For sure.
Some people are sitting on pensions. Some people worked for the military or the government and they contributed to a TSP. Those are also eligible to move into a self-directed plan. So I know that was a lot. That was a lot of information, but hopefully those listening were kind of, you know, oh, I have one of those, or yes, I've contributed to one of those plans. I want to make sure that everybody who is listening has that note, that understanding that they could move that over if they were eligible.
Yeah, absolutely, Joel. There's a lot of types of retirement plans out there that I hadn't even heard of prior to chatting with you. So I think it's, incredible that you were able to highlight those because there's people who have retirement accounts that they might not have even realized, which is always very helpful to be able to tap in to those retirement funds and invest in alternative asset classes. Um, and wanted to also ask once you have an investor or a person who engages with you, how many days would it take for them to engage with you and then invest in you know a private offering, say?
We get this question a lot because most of the time when someone is connected to us and they're ready to go, it's because they've been connected to someone like you
Hmm.
who is raising capital. They've got an awesome offering. They're ready to go. And maybe they only have 30 days to fund that offering.
Hmm.
It works differently when you're moving funds from a retirement account to an offering like your 506B offerings, Brandon, because there's a few moving parts. It's different if I were just pulling money from my savings account and sending you a wire to commit and
Right.
signing the paperwork. The client connects with us, they're ready to go. We walk through the whole process and we give them an idea of two things. What does their next 30 days look like as a new client, showing them the features, the benefits, the resources, but then also putting our nose, to the wall and just hitting it hard to move those funds from the old location or the old custodian to the new plan that we develop for them, and then getting it to your fund. So there's a lot of work that we put into that. And the range of time, it could be 5 days, it could be 15 days. And
Hmm.
so whenever we find that client that's ready to commit, they know they want to invest with you. Okay, let's get going. We have to start today. We have to get in touch with the releasing custodian because there could just be some nuances that could delay the process. That's the last thing that we want to do. So I would say this, Brandon, if there's somebody that is definitely ready to invest, whether it's with you, maybe they found something else, maybe they want to buy up some crypto,
Yeah.
the sooner the better. Let's have that conversation. Let's flush out all of your questions. Let's make sure that you're fully aware of what you're doing. And then let's move into the rollover. Let's start that rollover process.
That's awesome, Joel. Yeah, great. Great overview. And obviously, I'm sure that people have a handful of questions because it's new to a lot of people, right? Like this information isn't, it's not really out there like that. So appreciate you highlighting that. And yeah, I think at this point we could certainly go over some of the case studies now.
For sure. Yeah. Are you okay if I just jump right into one?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So this was actually an interaction that I had recently with one of our clients. His name is Andrew, and he's a big player in the private money lending space. And a lot of people, they don't recognize initially that they could take qualified retirement funds from an old IRA or an old 401k and actually invest it in private money lending.
Wow.
They've heard of private money lending. They understand the general concept because maybe they've borrowed money from a bank in the past. And so they understand the whole idea between borrower and lender, interest,
Mm,
payments, and so forth. But what we can show them as a turnkey provider is that there's a whole community out there of private money lenders that are kind of moving funds, back and forth as
mhm,
borrower and lender. And there's a ton of opportunity in that space. So
definitely.
we had one client, his name was Andrew, and he heard about the concept of self-directing, left his employer, and he rolled over his funds to an EQRP plan. And this was a self-directed 401k. So he
Mhm.
had full autonomy to move that money by, at his own free will and choice. He had an opportunity in Montana to pick up some land with another partner. And so he said to his partner, listen, let's go pick up this land, let's buy it, and let's flip it. He knew the location, he knew the opportunity, and he knew he could make some money off of this property. So he and a partner went in on it and they purchased that property. So
Wow.
he actually went in with his EQRP plan as one of the buyers. And they basically put together a joint venture. They
Wow.
funded the purchase, they held that land. And one of his success stories, and I wrote it down here so I get the quote right, I made $27,000 in 70 days. So he put up $100,000 as his portion in this land flip, purchased that property in Montana, flipped it in 70 days, and he walked away with a $27,000 capital gain. Sometimes that, could be unheard of, right? Like it
Yeah,
could be a fantasy, if you will, to make that much money in such a short period of time.
definitely.
But what's crazy, Brandon, is those opportunities do exist. And had he not had the liquidity in a self-directed 401k, he wouldn't have been able to do it. Not all of us have personal liquidity just ready to go at a moment's notice. Most of the time we're trying to get our money working for us.
Right.
So fortunately he had that money tucked away in a self-directed 401k that he recently rolled over. Boom, made that purchase, flipped that land, and walked away a happy camper. So he's obviously a really big advocate of self-directing your retirement funds, and obviously big advocate in that private money lending space, especially with that land flip that he did.
That's awesome, Joel. That's wow. That's that's a pretty incredible return
Yeah,
for 70 days.
for
Um
sure.
wow. That's yeah. What do you have any other types of
Yeah.
types
Yes,
of
indeed. Let me go over a couple others.
sure.
So these, I actually want to bring one up related to UBIT. Now, UBIT stands for Unrelated Business Income Tax. and
Mm.
that is associated with self-directed retirement funds.
Okay.
Okay. And this is a tax that comes into play anytime you're taking retirement funds and you're investing it in debt financed real estate.
Mm.
And you and I know, and a lot of listeners know, there's a lot of debt financed real estate deals out there in the marketplace. And if you're using your self directed retirement funds to invest in that, you need to be cautious of UBIT. So, the interesting part about self directed retirement plans and what we had to offer, like I said, we offer a self directed 401k and a self directed IRA. The self directed 401k comes with an exemption. This exemption eliminates that UBIT tax with debt financed real estate.
Mhm.
So this client, his name is Dat, and he had a self-directed IRA, and he was invested in multiple real estate, debt financed real estate syndications, more than 10.
Wow.
And what he found out later, as he had already committed to all of these properties, he was starting to get distributions, had a great tax advisor, and he said, "Hey, Dad, you realize there's going to be a UBIT tax on all of these debt financed syndications with your self-directed IRA."
Mhm.
When he found that out, he was told that he could work with us to roll every one of those assets over in kind into a self-directed 401k so that he could take advantage of that exemption that I was talking about. So we did that. He got connected to us. We took each one of those syndications, we rolled them over from the self-directed IRA, placed them in a self-directed 401k. We re-registered everything with the sponsors so that all of the distributions and those capital gains would go to the new plan.
Mm.
And we did that in kind without having to mess with any of the investment. It had no disruption with the investment sponsors. They loved that. The investment sponsor didn't want to have to worry about anything other than changing the name of the specific investor. Short story long, Dat is a happy camper because now he has all of these capital gains coming in without that UBIT tax.
Mm.
So I want anybody who might be listening who has real estate investments that are debt financed and they're investing with a self-directed IRA, get connected with us because we could potentially switch that over. There might be a reason why you're using a self-directed IRA, but if there's an opportunity to use a self-directed 401k, let's move those assets over in kind so that you don't get hit with that UBIT tax. Um, I have a couple more, Brandon, if I can share these with you.
Yeah.
I've got one client named Jeff, and he's from Sacramento. And, he's somebody that he has an architect firm, was looking at retirement. He's in his 50s and he's really starting to think about his exit plan with his business. And he's looking at what he has accumulated over the life of his 401k that he has been contributing to. And he realized that there were some discrepancies, if you will. He was very nervous with the balance in his 401k, to put it plainly. And he realized that it was not going to be sufficient for him to live that retirement lifestyle that he wanted. So he
Mm.
started doing some research. He gets connected with his friends who are investing in real estate and he's asking them questions. Hey, how are you doing this? How are you, investing? Are you positioned with personal funds? What does it look like for you? Short story long, he was able to determine that those friends of his were investing in this real estate
Mhm.
with self-directed retirement funds. It was the
Wow.
first time he ever heard about it. He's in his 50s. He phones his advisor who's helping him manage his retirement plan. It's like, hey, advisor friend, what can I do? I want to start diversifying. I want to start taking some of my funds, moving into real estate. This is what my friends are doing. And his advisor said, you can't do that. Not how we're set up.
Mm.
Fortunately, he has access to Google. He starts Googling, how can I self-direct my retirement? He stumbled upon our business. We had the conversation. As you can imagine, the rest is history. Right now, he's investing in the assets that he wants. Here's what's really cool about this experience. We started going through some of those benefits and features of having a self-directed 401k.
Mhm.
He's looking at the contribution option, and he's pumped about that because he didn't know that he could do, specific types of profit sharing contributions. And then he sees the self-directed 401k loan option. said, "Oh, I could borrow from this as well." I've always heard that that was a thing that you could borrow from your 401k, but I could borrow from this as well. Absolutely. We set him up with a $50,000 loan that he borrowed. That was the maximum that he could borrow. He used that to help fund a GP opportunity that he always wanted to be kind of a part of. He's always
Mhm.
wanted to get into a GP position with a syndication. He had his friends doing it. And so what I want to get to is the fact that Jeff was unaware that he could do something like this with a self-directed 401k, that he could create some liquidity so that he could walk into that general partnership with
Yeah,
some of his other peers. He wouldn't have been able to do that before. And so those listening right now, I hope you could walk away with the idea that these self-directed plans, they create liquidity for you.
for sure.
They open up they open up the door for you to invest privately with retirement funds or invest like Jeff, pulling out some of that money personally so that he could go do something, whether it's long term or short term. I could share another one if you like, Brandon. Would you like me to go into one more here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. This one's pretty cool because I get asked a lot, especially when I'm doing a webinar or some type of a face to face with an investor community. They say, Joel, what's the minimum? I want to do something like this, but what's the minimum? And I like to talk about one of our clients, John. John actually left us a Google review. You could see what he has to say about, doing business with EQRP, but John joined with zero money to roll over,
Mm,
meaning he said, I want an EQRP plan. I'm a small business owner, and my goal is to make contributions over time with my self-employed income and then take those funds and buy Bitcoin.
wow.
Super smart kid. Yeah, he's in his 20s. We said, great. You understand how these operate. He was referred to us by a colleague. And so we knew that John knew how to operate this thing. And of course, he has his account manager supporting him. But the point I want to get at is John was able to take advantage of the elective deferral contribution. He's a small business owner. He wants to take advantage of a retirement plan, just like me and my colleagues all take advantage of being W-2 employees.
Yeah.
He wanted to take advantage of that. So he's going to make his elective deferral contribution as an employee. Additionally, he's also going to make a profit sharing contribution. And he did do that. He did do that for 2023. So you can make up to $69,000 in contributions with a self-directed 401k. That's something that you just can't do as a W-2 employee, right? I'm capped this year at $23,000. And if you're managing an IRA, you know, you're capped out at less than $8,000 with an IRA. So the point I want to get at is John saw the value of, as a small business owner, making contributions on an annual basis without having anything to roll over from an old company. And then ultimately, with that self directed qualified money, he's buying Bitcoin with it. The gains are tax deferred.
Mm,
So, great strategies, for
mm,
people who are looking to maximize uh, the tax benefits. The profit sharing contributions he was making for his business are a great deduction for his business. The elective deferral of $23,000 he's making is perfect for him to lower his taxable income. So those are the main case studies I wanted to go through with you today, Brandon. And I think the EQRP has a self-directed plan that fits everybody's need. Ultimately, we'll help you invest your retirement funds in alternative assets. But as you can see with these case studies, there are so many other nuances and so many other details that could just add value to your investment strategy. So I'd encourage anybody to reach out. In fact, Brandon, I know they could actually reach out to us through you. So
yes.
that's what I've got for you, Brandon.
Yeah, absolutely, Joel. I like the wide array of people that you kind of highlighted, their walks of life and what they were investing into, and kind of all the little nuances that were associated with their investment. It's really cool.
For
Um,
sure.
but yes, so as Joel just alluded to, I will include a link in the comment section where people can reach out to learn a little bit more and to really be able to accelerate their investing. And yeah, it's just really fascinating. and cool that there's an alternative way, and appreciate that there's people like you, Joel, to educate people and to help them out as well. And I really appreciate you joining me today.
For sure. Yeah, it's always worth it. And yeah, looking forward to connecting with anybody in your community about it.
Awesome, Joel.